The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. All right, and I am going to introduce my speaker for this evening. I met Brian a little while ago. I've seen him come here, and I haven't got to hear his message yet. So when he walked in about 15 minutes ago, or 20 minutes ago, I asked him if he would speak, and he was so kind to say yes. So please help me welcome Brian.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Brian, alcoholic.
Hey, Brian.
I guess we'll go with the date. May 29th, 2020 is my sobriety date. I do have a sponsor. I do work the steps. I still work the steps. I've gone through it a couple of times with my sponsor for me, and then being able to sponsor someone else. So I went through them again with a different point of view of how I could relay this message that was relayed to me further along in my sobriety. How it was, it's I had a very good childhood. We didn't have money, but my parents loved me. I was an only child. There was one bad incident with a neighbor, but outside of that, I had a decent childhood. But I experienced the isms of alcoholism at a very early age. I was 7 years old. I asked my mom, I'm dating myself now, to get the phone off the wall. And I was calling this number, and she's like, "Who are you calling?" I said, "Child abuse hotline. Maybe you'll start treating me a little better." And she's like, "What? Give me that phone. I'll give you something to call them about," right? Like, they never hit me, ever. Never punished me, never hit me. But, like, even when I was this young, I'm looking for something better, something more. I had the isms. I ran away when I was 8. My mom, because she's a good mom, helped me pack my bags, gave me my teddy bear, sent me on my way. I came back 6 minutes later because I'm not allowed to cross the street without an adult. But I was always searching, right? So with these isms, my father saw it very early in me as well. My father's an alcoholic. When I was 1, he went into the program, and he died 30 years in the program. So when I was 31, he passed, and I had to contribute. He gave me a lot of, besides good things to think about, like red flags. Like, he said, everyone's bottom is a little different. Some are worse than others. You're going to have to know yours. Like, he was setting me up for once you start knowing that you're drinking, you're going to want to get into AA. But my childhood was, again, pretty decent. Played sports. Was friends with every single group. And then about 16 is when I first started drinking. I was in I slept over at my best friend's house. His parents went away for the weekend, and we went down in his basement. He's like, "It's drink." I was like, "All right." And I had I do say this a lot. It was my first and last Jenny Cream Ale I've ever had. Was that night. And then we went to a Budweiser. I didn't like it. We went upstairs, and he's like, "Well, try my mom's stuff," and it was a liquor cabinet. And after 3 or 4, I would say, successful attempts of trying different things, that euphoria kicked in, where even though I didn't think I was being bothered by much, nothing else mattered. I hope someone can understand it. Like, I was just like, this is it. Like, this is great. I didn't care if I was going to get in trouble. Like, a lot of my worries, my personal problems, things that I didn't realize I had, like the manic depressiveness, the higher anxieties. I didn't really realize I had those, but it was like a huge weight was lifted once I started drinking. And from that day on, alcohol was making a lot of decisions for me, and I didn't even know it. Like going into my senior year, besides football, I stopped playing the other sports because a lot of tournaments were on weekends. There was practicing, and that would cut into my drinking already. I wasn't drinking every single day, but I wanted to keep my weekends open because those were the days I could drink. And I made those decisions not to play based on alcohol and just thinking, I was telling myself it was just fun. It was you want to enjoy your senior year. You want blah blah blah. Whatever the rationalization and justification I would give myself, because when I started drinking, we can justify almost anything or rationalize every bad moment that we've had, and say, well, at least I could. I don't mean to throw you guys in with my isms. So from there, I went to college. I went to Westchester University. I was there about 5 years, and still didn't graduate. Apparently, you got to go to class or something like that to graduate. Like I just couldn't do it. Like I set the scheduling up that I would hit all my classes in the morning, so I could have the afternoons to go out drinking. It worked until the next morning. Then I couldn't get up for those classes. I was like, oh, maybe I should have afternoon classes. Following semester, I switched it to afternoon classes. But then the guys wanted to go hit the bar or were going to whatever it was. So then I started missing class. I didn't go to class, all right? For whatever reason, it was my drinking. And as I was growing up, like I was saying, my father had, he pretty much 12-stepped me my whole childhood. He taught me how to always look out for others, try to help others, try to put yourself at least second. And he reminded me to allow people to help me. Now, I still struggle with that a little bit now, but it made perfect. One of the things that made perfect sense to me back then, all of his other things, I always rolled my eyes. Yeah, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about, but he was right on. He was just quoting things from the program, and but the one thing that really sat with me was, he's like, you have to learn to let other people help you. You have to accept their help. And I didn't understand. He's like, well, do you feel good when you help others? I was like, well, yes. He's like, what else? He's like, well, I feel good. I see it in their face. He's like, why would you rob that other person from that feeling? By you saying no, you're taking that good feeling that you have away from them. And I was like, oh, Jiminy Crickets. All right, so that made sense. I still struggle from time to time with it, but it's like my whole life he was helping me. He was kind of giving me like a program without giving me without me accepting it yet. So we're in college. I'm drinking even more and more, but I was in college for social work. Why? Because I wanted to help others. And the drinking's starting to get a little out of hand. And one of the presentations that we had to do, our essay, was from an alcoholic. I called her like an old lady, but she was only 26. But at 18, she was like really old to me. And she was in the program, right? And she said, just fill out this little survey. So we all took the survey. I answered yes to 9 out of the 12 questions. And she goes, now, if you answered yes to one of these questions, there's a chance you might be an alcoholic. I was like, we got a winner here, right? 9 out of 12. So I was like, oh. So now I'm starting to think. My dad's in my head. This is in my head. So I go home to where my girlfriend was, who ends up being my wife, who ends up being the ex-wife. I start talking with her, and she's actually helping me rationalize and justify all my bad habits. So I'm like, all right. There's 1 or 2 red flags, but I'm not accepting that I'm an alcoholic yet. I'm in college. I'm young. I'm just having fun. First job out of college, while she was finishing her master's, I started bartending. I did that for about a year, and then someone from Miller Brewing Company saw me bartending, liked my personality. He wanted me to interview, and then after the interview, he sent me to Milwaukee for training. My training got done in about a week or two. I came back home. My job was to go to bars, play games with people, and buy them Miller Lights. Now, they would pay me $500 a week to do this, and they would give me $500 to buy beer for people. So here comes my drinking career, right? Like, college wasn't enough drinking. Now I'm getting paid to drink. So I'm drinking more and more, and now I'm doing promotions every night of the week. I go to a happy hour, and then there's like an 8 to 10, and then I'll go somewhere else 12 to 2. And I'm setting up all these happy hours. I'm at all these promotions, which is drinking all night long. Now I'm not seeing my wife as much, right? And it starts to click a little bit. So I pull her to a side one day, and I'm like, "Hey, hon, is this bothering you?" Blah blah blah. Like, I was going through the whole deal, and she says, "Well, no, you're a hard worker." I was like, "Yeah, it's rough hours I'm putting in. I hear what you're saying. Like, this is tough." But realistically, she didn't want to hurt my feelings or set me off by saying, like, it was hurting her. She didn't want to be the cause of, like, why I wouldn't have been happy anymore, because she could already tell that if I wasn't drinking, I wasn't a real happy person. That the manic depressive, the anxieties all come back without that alcohol in there. And so this goes on, and then I work for a beer distributor, like a Miller Brewing Company distributing. So the whole time I was in sales, and it's getting worse and worse. Now, when I was with Miller Brewing Company, I didn't have to do the promotions anymore, but now I'm starting to lie to my wife, and I never did that. I would fudge, but now I'm straight out lying, saying, like, "Oh, I have a promotion, I got to do this, just so I can go out and drink." So now here's like the third red flag. I'm like, it's really starting to take its toll. Little did I know how much it was really, really hurting her, but I could sense it and rationalize it and justify that, well, I'm the one working, she's not working, she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, I'm allowed to blow off steam, all the excuses we use to keep us, well, I say you guys, me, all the excuses I would use to keep myself drinking. Then my father died suddenly, and when he did that, it really put a piece into my wife. Like, we built an in-law suite on to my parents, because my mom had rheumatoid arthritis since she was 18, so she was handicapped, and my dad had quadruple bypass, 2 strokes, so they needed help. And this is how loving she was. She's like, "Well, we'll live with them, we'll have our own place," and then, like, she had, as much as I hated her at one point, it was all because of me, but she did have a big heart. But once he left this earth, things got worse, and my wife did pretty much what normal alcoholics do. We think a new scenery, right? If we just move somewhere, start over fresh, we're not going to have these problems. We're not going to have the people that I owe or the people I dicked over. Like, the problem is we're still bringing us with us, right? So her problem was she's still bringing me with her. So she's going to end up running into the same problems. Now I'm starting to run in with the law. Since we moved, I get 2 DUIs within a year and a half. And that was the fourth and final flag. I'm sitting in the back of the cop car, and I start to break down. Like I start knowing like this isn't for me. I can't stop. I have a God moment. I said, God, I need your help because I can't do this by myself. I can't. I know this is not what you want for me, but I can't do it. And I tilt my head back, and I'm like, please. And as soon as I tilt my head back, it was a bright, like yellowish light. I'm telling you, like the movies, right? Like even when I still talk about it, I get the hair thing. And I'm sure if you look back at it, it might have been just the gas pump light or whatever. But for me at that moment, it was a God moment. Like I could feel it. And I said, all right, I will go to I'll go do a rehab. So another great characteristic of mine is procrastination. And so I kept putting it off. And I was like, you know what? If I just drink happy hour and get home before it gets late, they're not going to give you DUI until it only happens at nighttime. This is what I'm telling myself. It only happens at nighttime. So I'm leaving the bar, I get pulled over. It's still daytime, so I'm amazed, right? This is crazy. This is nuts. And I'm white knuckling it. I'm like, God, I know I just talked to you like 2 months ago, but I'm back, and I really, really, really need your help this time. I really need your help. And I didn't let go of the steering wheel the whole entire time. The police officer comes up, license, registration, leaves for 5-10 minutes. And before he gives me anything, he starts pacing back and forth right next to my car. And I'm still holding on to the steering wheel, like the car's going somewhere. And I hear him saying, I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm doing this. Like he's talking to himself. I can't believe I'm doing this. And I'm sitting there like, I know why you're doing this. I know why you're doing this. And he threw the stuff in my lap and he says, you go right home. I said, thank you, God. I went right home, went to rehab the next day. Or like within 2 or 3 days. I got into rehab right away. That was another God moment. Now, I was born and raised Catholic, and the God then, for me, or my higher power then, was like a vengeful God, or he would deem me down, cast you to hell, but he loves you. Like it didn't really mesh for me. But again, foxhole. You got to fire something up. I was firing them up, and my father said, God answers every single prayer. Every prayer, He answers. He said, sometimes it's a lot later than you wanted it. He said, you want it now. You might get it in 4 or 5 months, and not even realize that's what you were wishing for. And he said, other times, the answer's no, but He will answer every single one. So after that was answered, I go into rehab, and unfortunately for me, I knew too much. My father was an alcoholic. I knew God. It wasn't really working. Like I was skipping through what they were saying. Like when I got to the point, this is now our way of life, I thought it just meant without drinking. So I get a sponsor. Maybe 2 months, then the law comes in, I lose my license, right? So after I lose my license, I stop going. I stop calling my sponsor. I stop going to meetings. I stay sober not sober, but I didn't drink for 8 years, 7.5 to 8 years. And I promise you, it was the worst 8 years of my life. Hands down, the worst 8 years. Without a program, there was no medication. Without alcohol, there was no medication. So all those voices, the anxieties, the depression, it all came. It all came, and I didn't have a program. to think better, to know better, to be more positive, and I wasn't drinking to drown it all. So, needless to say, within 5 years of me stopping drinking, I got divorced. Now, 3 months before the divorce, I planned my death, my suicide. I looked up my life insurance, and suicide wasn't payable, so I figured I could do it at work. Work paid 3 times the amount of what it was, so I thought the kids would be taken care of. They'd have a house, they'd have a little bit of money to get to school with, and I'm really suffering now without this program and without booze. So I planned the day. I had it planned out after 2 or 3 months, and that was my first day of feeling serenity. It was a false serenity, but I had it because I knew I was going to be dead that day. I had no stress. I felt no anxiety because I thought it was going to be over. And it was a small piece of what I feel now after running this program, helping others. It's an unbelievable feeling. But the day I was going to kill myself, and my wife and I aren't talking at this time. I'm speeding up because I'm running long. She comes home, and again, we're not talking. The first thing she says is, when you go to work tonight, ask them about a life insurance policy. Now, mind you, I'm about to kill myself in 3 hours. And I go, what? I said, we have one. And she says, no, I haven't paid that one in like 10 months to a year, so it's probably not good. Now, talk about, like, that was the last God moment that I needed. Like this was it. This was it. So we get divorced. I pick up drinking like two years after that. And all the signs were that I lost my house, I lost my mom, I was taking care of her. I lost everything within a year and a half of drinking. The final 6 months, I tried quitting almost every single day. I know for a fact it was 50 days in a row. 50 days I said I would not pick up another drink. I know for a fact 50 days in a row I was drunk. I would drink a handle. I would work. I would get up at 4:30 in the morning. By the time I ate breakfast, got to work, came home, it was 4:30. If I could keep half a sandwich down, I would drink a handle by 10:30, so I could pass out and get up at 4:30. On the 50th day, I was blessed with some type of acceptance that I am an alcoholic and that I'm powerless. See, when I went to rehab the first time, I could admit I was an alcoholic. I actually almost wore it like a badge. Like, oh yeah, I'm an alcoholic. I drink like crazy. I love it. You know, blah, 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 blah. But I couldn't admit I was powerless. I had a job. Kids were clothed, had food, had a house. My life's manageable. Everything's good. I couldn't admit to one. Now, living in my buddy's basement because I was homeless, trying to quit 50 days in a row, I could see and accept how powerless I was over this alcohol. Hell, it has completely ruined my life. And I finally gave it to God on the same day, within hours of me realizing it. I said, I need your help. I can't do this without you. And then I said, whatever it takes, whatever you want me to do, I will do. Again, the very next day, my cousin calls and says, how are you doing? I go, not good. She kind of knew, but we didn't talk a lot, and I haven't heard from her in like 6 months. She's like, I have a friend. Next thing you know, I'm in rehab, and that was 2020. May of 2020. And I've been sober since. And it's not all peaches and cream. Just because I went through the steps, just because I follow a good program. But I swear, just like those 8 years were the worst years of my life, I'm almost coming up on 4 years, absolutely the best 4 years. I mean, besides my kids being born, but I mean like in a row of my life. Mentally, It's been unbelievable. And it's all because of you, this program, my sponsor, taking other people through the program, giving back so freely that what was given to me. This program has completely changed my life around. I was going to meetings early on, getting resentments, hating every single one of you. Every single one of you I hated. Oh yeah, I got my job back. I got this back. I'm talking to I was like, you were drunk like 4 days ago, and this is working for you. And I'm 3 months sober. This guy's got the greatest job. I'm sitting in a place, a recovery house with people I don't want to be in with, right? My car gets stolen the following month. I'm homeless 6 months after. I was homeless more sober than I was when I was drinking. God's honest truth. And I was okay with it. I know it sounds crazy. I know it does. But I was okay with it. Because I was like, there's something to learn from this. If there's not something to learn, who can I help? If I can't learn anything and I can't help anybody, how's it going to benefit me? And one of those three happens every single time in my situations. It's unbelievable, and it's because of all you guys. I used to roll my eyes and say, oh, this fucking guy. Like when people would share and say, oh, I love you and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, go pound sand, you don't even know me, right? I was inexperienced. I didn't realize what this program has done for me. It's changed my perspective 100%. 100% from complete negativity to, I can't say complete positivity because I have my bad days. Let's not lie here. But that's when I take my will back. My bad days is when I take step 3 back. When I take my own will, I want something done now, or I think it should be done some way, or I think someone should act a certain way because I'm in a recovery house, like they should know what the hell to do. That's when I have my bad days. I call my sponsor up, and he says, why don't you give your will back? I'm like, son of a bitch. And I'm back to having a good day. It's unreal. I'm sorry for taking up a lot of time, but that's my story. Thanks for letting me share.
We'll take it Indian Valley 5. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Good job.
Hey,
You're an asset there.
Thank you.
You know, the way you articulate the inner workings of alcohol is everything.